is way too big. This is not going to work. We're going to have to go back here. Okay, so the full moon, this is Aries, the symbol of Aries. It's denoted by this symbol, and the moon is here. When it comes to a full moon, the sun and the moon are opposite one another. I call it across the street or an opposition. In some schools of thought, an opposition is considered to be harmonious. It's a balanced energy. There's a need for balance. They show it as a red line, which shows challenging. It's a challenging aspect because it's you against your partner. Believe it or not, your marriage partner is your open enemy in some schools of thought, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. But the full moon in Aries is here, and it makes us a little bit more assertive. One of the characteristics of Aries is aggressive, it is assertive. It's the first zodiac sign. It's action-oriented. It's the first zodiac sign in the natural zodiac. It's action-oriented is what Aries is about. And if you look here a little closer, you can see that Chiron is also in Aries. If you were to take a screenshot and zoom in. But the moon is so close to Chiron, which denotes this full moon being and touching upon healing powers and the ability to heal the self through assertive behaviors and taking action and initiative. This is Aries. It's naturally the first zodiac sign. Aries is directly connected to and corresponds to the face, the head, and the brain. Everything that is within the brain. The right hemisphere, the left hemisphere, the frontal cortex, the occipital, the abdula oblongata, and everything in the head and the face. You know, you have the eyes for sight, for perception. There's 12 pairs of cranial nerves that are in the head. Aries is associated with the head, the upper head, and directly connects to the central nervous system and the spine. Now, for those who are advanced, if you take the nervous system and plug that into the natural zodiac, you'll see that Gemini has to do with the nervous system and functionality. And from Aries to Gemini, it's a 60-degree aspect, which is a harmonious aspect. So the nerves in the brain, the 12 pairs of cranial nerves that stem from the brain out to the spinal cord. Leo is the spine, which is here, and it's a harmonious aspect to Aries. So Gemini in harmony with Aries, Leo in harmony with Aries, Gemini the nervous system, Aries the head, Leo the spine, and Aries the head. I find that so fascinating when it comes to the anatomy and physiology of it for those who are interested in some of the deeper aspects of astrology. So that's Aries, a little bit about Aries. Aries is a significant feature to this full moon and healing because Chiron's there. In addition, this full moon is kind of a reflection for the past 6 months. If we rewind this clock, if we go back, it's significant for all Aries. Aries sun sign, whether you're an Aries moon sign or whether you're an Aries rising sign. This full moon kind of brings an energy to remind you of taking action and to look at how far you've come in regards to your healing process. Can I get an amen? A yes sir, I follow you, I'm with it. This moon here in Aries is a reminder and a reflection of those circumstances for the past 6 months, because there was an eclipse here. So we have the North Node in Aries, which the full moon kind of touches upon with your purpose and your mission, your reason for coming here. Aries rising. Do you see how this past 6 months have worked on your healing and mostly on how you communicate, how you are to the point, how you're direct with others? This is a transit chart. What is a transit chart? A transit chart is a chart of the moment. I'm the lab coat astrologer. I've been doing astrology for over 2 decades, helping people unravel the intricacies of the astrological chart. Now, so after Aries is always Taurus. Before Aries is Pisces. We're going to get to Pisces. We're going to go around this whole chart. Do we have any Tauruses in here? Taurus is naturally the second zodiac sign, and it's associated and corresponds to the second house. Taurus is and has to do with the second house, has to do with our values, has to do with our possessions, it has to do with our things, the stuff that we have. You're about values. You're about persistence, a certain sense of determination that runs through your bones. You're foodologists, you're foodies. You have good taste. Taurus is the throat, neck, ears, as well as the tongue. And I'd like to say the sense of smell. Because of the taste buds, you can smell something, which, by the way, not for nothing and for something at the same time, is one of the number one senses that's connected to memory as science has it. So smells are directly connected to memory. And that's Taurus here. Tauruses, you've been going through some significant changes over the course of the past 5 years because of this planet and symbol here. When it comes to the full moon, that's in Aries. There's a little more reflection that goes on in regards to your past. There's a looking back at the past, you know, and how far your healing journey has come in regards to improving some of the habits that you've been working on with yourself, especially your temper is one of them, and moving too fast, and making sure you're mindful of your sleep and your rest. Tauruses, would you concur with that? This is over a 6-month process. Aries, Wheel of Fortune. You're in Aries with the Wheel of Fortune. I'm not sure too much about tarot, but I heard Wheel of Fortune is a good card. That sounds like a good combination for you. You get a cheer. Congratulations. We're going to get to that a little bit more looking at your rising sign. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lab Coat Astrologer, LLC. TikTok said I can share it with you because it's in my profile. I don't know if anybody's looked at the profile, but I'm letting you know there. Bada bop. Infinite Lotus Ra. Hotep, Aries moon, there. I see you. Significant for your healing in regards to your emotions, right? Your temper flares in the relationship with your mother and or the mother figure, possibly. The moon is and has to do with one's emotions. All right, so that's Taurus, naturally the second zodiac sign. It's also the middle of spring. Taurus is, you know, can be so fixated on growth and moving forward, the determination. If you look at how Taurus zodiac sign is the bull. Look at the bull and bull fighting, you know, bulls running through the street. I wasn't thinking about bulls running through the street. It came to mind, but I was thinking about the red flag and how they got they move the red flag, and the bull is persistent. It's determined to get the flag each and every time, even though it knows that maybe it doesn't know that it's not going to get the flag, but it tries without fail. This is Taurus. The persistence of Taurus, the determination of Taurus. The first fixed sign. So Tauruses are resistant to change. This is where the stubbornness comes in. So in essence, this moon in Aries kind of works on Tauruses in regards to you healing and in connection to your wants, not getting what it is that you want sometimes, and being patient. Gemini here. Looks like the Roman numeral number 2. Do we have any Geminis in here? When it comes to the anatomy and physiology, it's the arms, hands, lungs, nervous system. As I said before, this connection between Gemini and Aries here is a significant feature, and it shows a sextile, which is a harmony. A sextile is a 60-degree aspect. If you count from Aries to Taurus, that's 30. From Taurus to Gemini is 30. So from Aries to Gemini, 30 plus 30 is, anybody? 30 plus 30? 60. And 60 degrees in astrology is a sextile. And it's a communicative aspect. So Aries and Gemini, natural harmony between the two of them. If you're in Aries and you have Gemini planets, natural harmony. If you're in Aries and you know some Gemini friends, natural harmony. Gemini is communicative, talkative. It likes to gossip, the stories. Basketball housewives, possibly. Maybe not. Maybe an information junkie. Maybe an avid note taker. Maybe a reader. Maybe the penmanship is good. Possibly ambidextrous. Possibly cerebral. Possibly always processing the thoughts and information constantly. This is Gemini. Gemini for you, ever since the spring, there's abundance. There's abundance, there's joy, there's happiness, there's more exploration because Jupiter's in Gemini. And this full moon that was in Aries is Gemini's 11th house. So it points to some of your goals. Having a vision and a foresight for goals that you want to reach in the future, and setting your mind and your intention toward it and going for it. Is this starting to make sense a little bit? Are Geminis more moody, shifty, do you think? They can be shifty. I don't know what you mean by shifty, but maybe flexible. Gemini is the end of spring, okay? Aries is the beginning of spring. Taurus is the middle of spring. Gemini is the end of spring. So when you say shifty, I think of the adaptability and the changeable nature of Gemini getting ready for the beginning of summer. After Gemini is then Cancer. There's a season breakdown and division in this astrological chart denoted. Once you start getting a hang of the zodiac signs, then you start understanding or comprehending how this chart, if you will, becomes to be a clock. It becomes to be a calendar. You can see 7 days in the calendar. You can see 2 weeks in the calendar. You can see 3 weeks in the calendar. And you can see months or months, which have to do with the moon. So after Gemini is always Cancer. Now I'm going to get into this red square, possibly, if I can talk a little more rhythmically and swiftly. Us Gemini folks have a lot on our minds, I would agree. Okay, so after Gemini is Cancer. Cancer, I have circled, just like I have Aries circled. This is the first square. Aries is naturally the first sign. Taurus is naturally the second. Gemini is naturally the third zodiac sign. Cancer is naturally the fourth, and it is associated with the fourth house. Gemini is associated with the third house. Taurus is associated with the second. Aries is associated with the first. And from the first house to the fourth house, and or from Aries to Cancer, there's a little bit of tension with this full moon here. There's a little tension in regards to the taking of action and initiating the self and the feelings and the emotions, you know, maybe a little bit scared or nervous because, you know, you don't usually take action. Maybe, you know, you get the bubbly guts or something because you're like, oh, I don't know how it's going to work out. I'm saying go for it. The full moon is saying, even though there's a challenge there, bubble guts and nervousness, push through that. It's interesting in astrology, one of the benefits of astrology is it shows you where the tensions are, usually when it has this shape, right? This shape is a square. Can everybody see that? It's a square. But just 2 zodiac signs can create this square aspect here. So here is a square aspect from Aries to Cancer, denoted by this line. It's 90 degrees. It's 90 degrees from Aries to Cancer. And so the full moon at 24 degrees of Aries and Mars at 22 degrees is approximately 90. It's really 88 degrees. And it's approaching a square. Mars is approaching a square. And actually 2 hours before the full moon, which would have been about approximately 5 a.m. for those in the east coast of the United States, early morning. Most of you were sleeping. But it does play and carry into the day in regards to, you know, our nervous energy and our emotions in regards to us being a little fearful to take action, to initiate ourselves, maybe because we weren't successful in the past. If the full moon in Aries could talk and be like, so what? Get in there. Take action. Initiate yourself. Make a start. Go get it. Aries is a fire sign. It's an inspirational full moon. It's saying take action. If you're a Cancer, it's saying take action in regards to your career, that career move that you've thought about. Any Cancer risings in here? Push through your fears and take action in the career. Communicate with the boss. Hey, I need more hours. Hey, whoa, I put my hours in. I have 90 days now, and I'd like to be bumped up 50 cents, $1, $1.50, even if it's 88 days. So what? Approach the boss if you're a Cancer rising. It's your career. It's your work. It's your reputation. It's how you're honored and how you're respected in the public's eye. Because Mars, or with Mars in Cancer, Mars is the planetary ruler of Aries. What does this mean? It means that Aries and Mars are connected. When Mars is in Aries, it's at home. When Mars is in Cancer, it's a little bit tension. It's 90 degrees from its home, so it causes havoc a little bit. So Cancers might be, you know, ready to rumble a little bit and assert themselves a little bit more aggressively. Make sure that you're not moving too fast. If you're gonna approach the boss, make sure it's tempered. You know, take a couple deep breaths before. Make sure you have, you know, all your thoughts written down, or you practice it like an actor practices their speech, whatever the case may be, before you approach the boss. Make sure you got your ducks in a row and in alignment. If you're a Cancer rising or you're a Cancer moon, you might notice that your energy is a little more riled up. The temper might be shorter than usual. And you might be like, oh, I gotta get it going. You might have a slow, the people who are taking their time or moving too slowly, you might get irritated with that. Humble yourself. Do we have any Leos in here? Any Leo suns, Leo moons, Leo risings? Do we have any in here? Short temper Cancer? Now, at this moment, Ella, yes. And I say that because Mars is in Cancer. And this full moon in Aries kind of activates Mars in Cancer. We want to assert ourselves in our emotions, so be mindful of your emotions and your feelings, that you're not overpowered. You're Leo, the proudest ones, the loving ones. Leo, the pride, the heart. Leo is associated with the heart. The heart, the spine, and the upper back is Leo. You know, notice how in the Lion King, the dun dun ning na 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 bum ba bim bum ba bum. If you have the moon in Leo, then it's high expectations on behalf of the mother. Leo is associated with the 5th house. The 5th house is the house of fun and recreation and entertainment and having a good time. Leos like to have a good time. They like to play. Where do Leos like to play? With this full moon, Leos like to play on the road. They like to travel and play. Don't get too carried away, right? Sometimes we have to get back to work. But Leos, not for nothing and for something, this full moon kind of, you start looking back and reflecting on your religious outlook on life, right? So with this full moon in Aries, we can't forget about Libra, because it is this opposition or this balancing act that's going on. So for Leos, the Libra Aries axis, which has to do with this full moon, is in the 3rd house and the 9th house. The 9th house is the house of higher learning. It's the house of education. The 3rd house is the house of communication. It's the house of your thought processes. Leo is a very good judge of character. We started with Aries, the first zodiac sign connected to the 1st house. Assertive, aggressive, champion, the warrior. This full moon does have to do with the warrior in you. Taurus, persistent, determined, dependable. It's Taurus, good taste, sensual, caring, dependable. Gemini, Taurus is associated with the 2nd house. Gemini, communicator, speaker, the thinker, logic, nerd, genius, associated with the 3rd house. It has a lot to do with our mental aptitudes and how we communicate. Cancer, the emotionalist, it's associated with the 4th house, the home, the family. The nurturer is Cancer. And then Leo is the prideful one, associated with the 5th house, loves to have a good time, always playing. Virgo is associated with the 6th house. It's the maiden. Virgo is the virgin. It's the maiden. It's the worker. I say the worker bee. Virgo is the zodiac sign that has to do with health, has to do with hygiene, it has to do with routines. It's very analytical and with details. It's good with commerce. In contrast to Virgo, it is the 8th house. It's the house of transformation. It's the renewing of one's spirit. In regards to Virgo, there's a renewal going on, a replenishing. This moon, if you will, is a replenishing. There's a need for asking and communicating to the partner, hey, yo, I need your contribution. We need a couple dollars, possibly. And if it's not a couple dollars, we need some of your worth, some of your value, some of your contribution in that regard, and for you to step up. I say that because the 8th house of Virgo is Aries, which is where the full moon was and occurred, right? And it points to your partner's finances. It points to mutual endeavors and shared resources. The full moon has to do when it comes to Virgo. Virgos, are you with me? Your sun is a Virgo. Faith, I would say to your son, son, you've changed considerably. You've done considerably well over the course of the past 2 weeks. There's some areas of improvement, but I wanted to let you know, hey, you get a cheer, son. Room for improvement there. If you're doing there, you're doing good. You want a cupcake? What do you want? A cookie? A snack? What do you want, son? A cookie. You got it. You get a cookie, a boing. So after Virgo always is Libra, the peacekeepers, the judges, the diplomats. Some of you might be saying, oh, I'm not a judge. I don't judge anybody. I don't judge. We all judge people, and it's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. Sometimes we can overjudge. Overjudge? I don't know if overjudge is a thing, but maybe too judgmental. So this full moon here, it brings a highlight to Libra's relationships. Libra rising in Aries in the 7th house. Although the sun is in the 12th house and the moon is in the 6th house, which denotes Libra's reflecting on their past relationships a little bit, un poquito. And the moon in Aries has to do with the health, the mental health, and the well-being a little bit, un poquito. Because the moon has just got into the 6th house, the sun has just got into the 12th house, so it's a 12th house, 6th house axis moon, which is the health and the secret sorrows from the past in regards to relationships and how it affected your health. So there's un poquito, a very little bit in English, it's un poquito healing process and journey and how it's affected your mental well-being. a little bit. Are you with me? Now, if you're in a different part of the world, it might have a different effect. If you're in the middle of the nation of the United States, if you're on the West Coast of the United States, or if you're in London, it might be a little bit different. Or if you're in South Sudan, points to after these messages, we'll be right back. I'm going to have you tarot card readers doing astrology simultaneously. Stay tapped in. You missed it. Make sure that you follow me. Aries full moon for Scorpios is your health. It's your physical health. It's your physical well-being. It's a release. There's a need to sweat. The releasing energy, you know, cleaning, health, cleanliness, and hygiene. Sweating is a form of cleaning and getting rid of an energy. It's also a great opportunity for Scorpio, especially Scorpio risings, to acknowledge and reflect what you've done over the course of the past 6 months, because it goes Libra, Virgo, Leo, Cancer, Gemini, Taurus, Aries. 6 months ago would be Aries, and we had an eclipse there in Aries. And so this full moon in Aries, it's a time to reflect back on your health, right? And how far you've come in regards to your healing and the controlling of your emotions and what you've learned and how to express your anger. Scorpio, talk to me. Come and talk to me. With Venus in Scorpio, it points to where you find value, what it is that you value, and communicating. Mercury just stepped into the field of Scorpio, so it's communicating about what it is that you value and asking for what it is that you want. Energy, Mercury just stepping into Scorpio has to do with your mindset. I don't know about you and God. That's something that you have to talk to God about. All right, Sagittarius. Any Sagittarius is in here. This one's for you, Sag. If we were to count Sag, 1, Capricorn, 2, Aquarius, 3, Pisces, 4, and Aries would be what? Aries, 5, the 5th house. Even though Aries in this astrological chart is in the 7th, you can clearly see the house numbers here. But I'm counting from the zodiac. So the 5th house in astrology is Leo's house, even though Leo is in the 11th house. I'm counting numbers out here. Don't worry about the interior for the minute. Sagittarius has Aries in the 5th house, and the 5th house is the house naturally of Leo, which is a good time. It's what it is that you loved, that you love. This kisses, you know, your children is a form of love, form of 5th house activity. Your lover is a form of 5th house activity. Your inner child is a form of 5th house activity, and the loving of yourself, Sagittarius. This is you. This is you. Loving you is easy because that's Leo. It's a party. It's a love party in Leo. It's a love party in Leo for Sagittariuses. It's a love party in Aries in the 5th house for Sagittariuses. And it's actually looking at how much healing, Chiron, has gone on in your love life. How much healing has gone on in regards to your relations with your children. It's a reflection of the past 6 months, right? There was an eclipse, a solar eclipse in Aries. It brought a little bit of tension in regards to Sagittarius rising's love life, and Sagittarius rising's relations with children and your children in that regard. And so this full moon is a highlight there, and it says take action, you know. Hey, we've been through our trials, we've been through good times and bad times. But the Aries moon is saying, stay true, let's keep moving. Keep on moving, don't stop. No, keep on moving. It's like a rebirth is what it is. Aries is like the baby. All right, so after Sagittarius, Capricorn has Mars in the 7th house. So there's a little bit of irritation and a little bit of frustration in regards to your relationships. And your partners are emotional Capricorn risings. There's some emotion, a whole great deal of emotion, and something that your partner wants. And there might be a need to cater to that. Capricorn, the moon is full in your 4th house, and so there's this dynamic between the 4th house, the 1st house, 4th house, and the 7th house. Family, finding a balance with your partner. It also brings a rise to your partner's career and work and finding a balance there. Maybe the work is getting in the way with spending time, and there's a need for balance